So I'm going to focus my comments today on the North American energy marketplace, and specifically on what is taking place and the remarkable pace of change that's taking place in terms of continental energy independence or security, and the profound implications that that reality has for the United States, for Canada, and really for the entire world. Because it was actually only about 5 years ago that Barack Obama, before he became the President of the United States, stood before the American people, and he said that the math was incontestable, couldn't be disputed, that the United States could never expect to drill its way through to energy independence. But what the President didn't foresee, and that's no slight against him because no one else really saw it either, was the remarkable revolution that would follow in the ensuing 5 or 6 years. And so 5 years later, frankly, continental energy independence, which has been the continual pursuit of that has been really a fixture of the American political landscape for the entirety of my life and the life of all of the people in this room who are my age. That is today on the verge of being achieved with incredible consequences, which we will speak about. There have been extraordinary changes to the North American supply of oil and natural gas that have resulted in new technologies and the application of new technologies to how we extract energy from the ground in North America. This is a technological revolution, something that all of you here at Kitchener-Waterloo can understand. At the same time, there have been changes in terms of continental demand for energy in response to a number of factors, which I will speak about. And so the pace of all this has been absolutely staggering. And as one energy analyst in our bank recently said, he said, usually we make prognostications for the future, advice to people on investing, and it takes years before we're proven wrong. Now we can be made to look foolish within 6 months. And that literally is the pace at which things have been changing. And so these are really volatile times. They're volatile times for everyone who has an interest in the energy business, whether you're a consumer, a manufacturer, whether you're a producer, and frankly, whether you are concerned about environment generally and climate change specifically. And so it was only a few short years ago that conventional wisdom was that the United States, North America, Canada, could never really be energy secure. And today it's essentially all but inevitable. Because amidst the volatility that I'm speaking about, there's a new reality that is starting to bite in the market with some real consequences, and with, frankly, geopolitical implications that are going to reverberate right across the globe. And so to understand that, it's important to sort of step back at the outset and just take stock of what the new American marketplace really looks like. In fact, in 2012, United States crude oil production rose to basically over 6 million barrels of oil per day. That's an increase of 800,000 barrels of oil per day, higher than in the previous year. These are the largest increases that have ever been recorded since people started taking statistics in the 1850s in the energy industry internationally. And the International Energy Agency now focuses that the United States will produce more than 11 million barrels of oil per day by 2020, up from only 5 million barrels in 2008. What that means, you separate yourself from the numbers, is that the United States has gone from being dependent on other people's oil to essentially being the largest producer in the world. Fast forward to the energy crisis of the 1970s, the Americans got over that quite quickly, and nobody in the United States cared much through those years about what Canadian oil smelled like. But here's where we are today. By 2005, the United States, our neighbors in the south, was importing essentially 60% of their liquid oil, their liquid petroleum needs, most of it or much of it from Canada. That figure between 2005 and 2010 declined from 60% to 50%. Today, only a few short years later, it has declined from 60% to 50% to now 40%. Projections are that it will be lower than 30% by by 2030, at which point the United States itself may choose to become an oil exporter. And so certainly, in terms of the geopolitics of all this, what is beyond dispute is this. The United States, coupled with Canada and with Mexico, will be completely energy self-sufficient in the time between 2020 and 2025. The largest recipient of spending of capital investment in the oil sands. The numbers, as I understand it, are that 52% of the money which is spent outside of Alberta is, in fact, spent right here in the province of Ontario. And you yourself know that companies here have both the know-how and they have the leading-edge capabilities in terms of manufacturing, in terms of fabrication, process, automation, R&D, and the like. And so the Ontario industry makes essential components which go into this business, things like valves and pumps and gauges, as well as all of the trucks that are used in these facilities. And one of the largest employers in this area, a company by the name of Aecon Industrial, has itself produced tens of millions of dollars worth of fabricated piping systems and other components which are exported to Alberta. It's estimated that in the time between today and 2035, continued development of the oil sands will add some $63 billion to the Ontario economy and support tens of thousands of jobs. In fact, according to CIRA, the Canadian Energy Research Institute, 7% of all the jobs created in the oil sands will in fact be created in Ontario. And so, this is an industry which is important. Interesting fact that you probably know that I didn't until I was preparing for my comments today was that the oil industry in Canada actually started here, only a couple of hundred miles away from where I'm standing. More than 150 years ago, when someone in Ontario was accidentally digging a water well, thought they were drilling for water and had oil bubble up on the ground. It sounds a bit like Beverly Hillbillies. And of course, that's given rise to Sarnia and a great industry that we have. That's today, of course, Ontario produces only, I think, about 1% of its own oil consumption, but there's an incredibly skilled workforce, and in this province, a critical mass of engineering and technological capacity that's going to make it central to the energy industry in Canada for time to come. Now, speaking more broadly about all of this, the reality is that no matter where we are on the continent, changes in the energy industry are bringing enormous advantages now to us as North Americans. And this is the first and most profound of the geopolitical changes that I'm speaking about. Firstly, energy availability and pricing abundance is going to improve our industrial competitiveness, because low natural gas prices in North America are giving us a competitive advantage in every area where there is a heavy reliance on hydrocarbon inputs. So petroleum feedstocks, for example, petrochemicals, steel manufacturing, cement manufacturing, fertilizer manufacturing, all areas of heavy manufacturing. And so at a time when we are experiencing the fact that Asia has lost its labor cost advantage, we are now also opening up not only a labor cost advantage, but also a significant energy cost advantage as North Americans. Once again, this is not something that anybody would have predicted